Hope you are able to see the share screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now let us see the impact of this. So if we have actually x being positive, that and the activation function is one-sided, that we in turn imply that all elements of weight are positive. In such case, how does the weight update happen? So if we are say we can, what we have seen is W is a vector W1, W2. Let us take only two-dimensional space where this is W1 and this is W2. Okay, and in this we have anyway J. J is anyway here, so which is popping up from here. Okay, and we want to move from some any J naught. So wherever we have, this is the initial location where we have actually, that is at the initialization of weight vectors W1 and W2, we are here. Okay, and let there be somewhere be the minima location. This is J minimum. Okay, and we want to progress towards this. That's our objective. So if we wish to do that, what we but we the constraint we have is W1 comma W2 both can be either greater than 0, okay, both together, or W1 comma W2 can be less than 0. That means we have this quadrant and this quadrant in which the weight elements or the weight updates can take place. Okay, the weights also stay here, and the weight update also can happen in these directions. Weight update especially can happen in this direction. Okay, because what we have seen is initial weights are up to us. Wherever we want, we can have the initial weight values. But weight update delta W is what in happens in these quadrants. Okay, both positive, both negative, right? So in such scenario, so now if we start, say if we are here, see if you want to progress in this direction, so what should happen? So if you see here, one of the weight is moving towards positive side, another weight gradient or the update has to go in negative side. That's not feasible. So what should we do? We should have actually a weight update, okay, that's having both being positive or both being negative. So both being negative means what? We can go like this. That means both are negative, right? So instead of reaching towards this, we can go this side for a while. Okay. Or both are positive means what? I can go something like this. Both are positive. I hope you people are following. Okay. So either of these are possible. After this again, since I want to reach towards this minima, what should I do? I can go both positive. Okay, I can't go still in the same direction. Okay, if I go in the same direction, I will be diverging. So I may go like this. Again, I may go like this. Okay, again, I may go like this. Again, I may go like this. Okay, again, I may go like this. Again, like this. Okay, and again like this. So what we are doing to reach out to a minima, which is quite closer, in fact. Okay, we are taking a zigzag path because we don't have freedom to update weights in all the quadrants or in all possible ways. And we are restricted by both being positive and both being negative. Hope this is clear. Okay. So even if we take this side, the same thing will happen. We are both positive, we have made, then both negative. Okay, then both positive. Okay, both negative and both positive, both negative, and then we will reach like this. Okay. So we can take either of them, but we will reach through zigzag path. Okay, so and hence the convergence will not be faster or smoother. Okay, that's a constraint. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear or not? You people are there?
Yes.
Yes. So, can you give any suggestion to like combat this kind of issue in weight updates? There are two ways in which we can overcome this difficulty to have a better updates. So what are the two suggestions? There may be many others, but there are two very trivial suggestions through which you can do this. You can improve this weight updates. Yeah, 1 is what? Very simple one. Please answer quickly. We already lost half of the class here.
Range of output of activation function.
Okay. So we be more explicit. F of net. Okay. What you want to tell here?
Yeah, instead of all positive, it should output. It should give the value negative as well. I mean,
Right. So it should not be just greater than 0. Okay, it's a constraint. And it should also be f of net. We expect that takes all ranges, all positive and negative. Okay, so this will enable us at least to move in all quadrants. Okay, this also is still in this case, even if we take f of net positive and negative, still this will have a constraint in this case. Okay, this is more helpful, especially if we take multiple neurons. Okay, because some will be positive, some will be negative, and so on. Okay, but in this case, what happens? Even if f of negative also both positive and negative, still delta net will be either positive or negative finally. So it doesn't solve the problem in this case. Correct? So what's the next solution? What's the next possibility? People are not thinking on trivial things. Okay, X usually input features. Okay, how we give to the input, the network is up to us. Why should we have X all positive? Okay, just demean it. Okay, like subtract the mean from the X. Or so you perform some operation or pre-process the input. It gives both positive and negative. Such that X has both positive and negative. This is fine or not? This will enable at least us to have the W elements also both positive and negative. Is this fine? Yeah. So that's why we do DGD zero mean of data. So you just zero mean the data. So that what happens? Data will be X will be on both positive and negative side. Okay. Hope this is clear. This is all the discussion on the activation functions. Mainly activation functions should also be having negative to facilitate a different neurons having different in like positive and negatives. But input also should be normalized to have both all W elements need not being same. Okay, and the ReLU activation function is usually much faster for convergence, and it's also known to be biologically plausible. Okay, in fact, more than sigmoid now. Okay, so considering these things, the ReLU is also extended to have a leaky ReLU where you have actually the negative side. Okay, so now the other problem is, see, we have seen that actually the data can be demeaned. So assume that then the data is something like this. Okay, so it's demeaned, somehow it's centered. Okay, and this is now I am plotting either x1, x2 space. Okay, so the data I have plotted here. Now assume that in this x1, x2 space, okay, I initialized randomly for a single neuron still. Okay, so I have a vector W, W1, W2, only two features, and W also two-dimensional vector. And initially after initialization, I have somehow got the W to be like this. That means this is say this line is what? W1 x1 plus W2 x2 plus B equal to 0, or x1 plus x2 is equal to 1. Assume that this line is W x1 plus x2 equal to 1. Okay, so now what is this vector W can be written as what? Vector W is nothing but 1 and 1. Is this fine? 1 and 1, right? And B assumed to be -1. Okay, so if I consider B also, it's -1 will be there. okay, on the top of it, right? So now what we are doing is the net value here. If I see, net value is what? Net value means W transpose X plus B is equal to, okay, X1 plus X2 minus 1. Now what we want to see is, we want to see if we use ReLU activation function, is there any drawback when we have the data placement like this and the initialization like this? See, ReLU activation function, as you see, okay, will be if I apply on f of net value or net value, ReLU on a net value, it will be non-zero, or it is net value only if net is greater than 0 and it is 0 else. Is it not? So what happens? Whatever the changes that happens, okay, if the net value is falling in this range, okay, ReLU activation function is inactive, in sense that it doesn't react, it gives 0 output, right? So sometimes due to this, the update itself may not happen. Yes or no? If you have actually, so as you know, if you have a neuron, okay, and then if this is ReLU activation function, okay, this F is ReLU now. So what we have seen is delta net, okay, is equal to what? Del F dash, okay, into O minus T, right? And then delta W is equal to delta net into X. These we have seen before, okay? So now if F dash is 0, because net being negative, okay, in such case what happens? The delta net is 0, delta W also is equal to 0. No update happens. Yes or no? In this case, now you see, in this case, W is this side, you substitute any of the values of X in this whole data cloud. Okay, you substitute any of the data points now. If you initialize like this, okay, then what happens? Now for all values of X1, X2, if you substitute in this, okay, net equal to 0. Sorry, net is less than 0. Net is less than 0 implies delta net is also what? Also 0. If net is less than 0, it implies delta net equal to 0. And hence what happens? And hence what happens? I need some quick answer if people are following. And hence what happens?
The weights doesn't get updated.
Yeah, that's all. Okay, it's like they are called dead ReLUs. Okay, that means if you keep, if you have like this, initialization itself is like this, then what happens? Okay, only if you get for these samples, the weight update happens. For any of the other samples, weight update doesn't happen at all. Okay, so it's not a good place where you initialize. Okay, so initialization place, initialization of what? Initialization of what? Yeah, initialization of weights plays a very major role. Okay, so especially when using ReLU activation function. Because what happens, the half of the samples doesn't, even for a sigmoid, they play a good role, because these all may go into the like saturation zone. Okay, so in such case, sigmoid also will be 1. That's all, it will all be same. Okay, output of that. So, but at least they will be considered. So, but here for ReLU activation function, we see that the net values being negative will make the values also of f of net also being negative. Okay, that's a that's also a serious issue. That means data cloud, having the data cloud, whole data cloud on the negative side of the initially, like the W vector or decision boundary, okay, will lead us no update of the weights. Is this clear? Is this clear? These are referred to as dead ReLUs. Okay, I'm assuming it is clear. Okay, fine. So for that reason, they bring in explicitly some bias in initializing the activation functions. So W1 plus W2, anyway, we want little to be more positive side. So we add positive bias. Okay, so or some value. So that actually the values, net value will not be negative. It will be more, little bit slightly towards positive. Okay. Other option is, again, we have the activation functions with leaky ReLU kind of activation functions. I hope this discussion is clear. I am moving ahead. Okay. Right. So the other important aspect, as we discussed before, is on initialization of the how we give the data to the network, or how we present the input features to the network. Also, as we have seen, X has to be, okay, should be demeaned, okay, or should have both positive and negative, right, with both positive and negative values. Okay, this is how the feature should be. See, usually the data pre-processing steps, some of them are very standard and well known. See, this if you consider as the data distribution. So what is this I am plotting here? Can one of you quickly guess? What is this axis and what is this axis? We are plotting the data in 2 dimensions, x1, x2 being features. Okay, and these are all each point. What is this each point corresponds to? What each point corresponds to? Quick answers are welcome after the discussion of whole initial classes and so on.
Input sample.
Yeah, each data point corresponds to input sample. And you have these many input samples here and distributed in this way. Okay, so they are all not centered. Okay, but they are spread over in both positive and negative sides here to some extent. Okay, and then they have the way they are spread over along some direction. Okay, so if you plot the data samples in the feature space, you will be able to see how the data samples are spread over. Right now, the trivial step or the first step, most of the times we prefer to do is center the data with 0, like center being matched to 0. Okay, so that's exactly what we do is demeaning. So demean the data. So this is so that means you find out each is a 2-dimensional vector. So mean vector we will find it to figure it out. Okay, so first find the mean vector. M hat I'm writing. M hat is equal to summation over xk samples, k equal to 1 to n samples, 1 by n samples. Okay, this is what is M hat. Then what we do, xk hat is equal to xk minus M hat. Okay, so this is what we do, right? This is demeaning operation. So this will essentially put the data cloud to be having its center equal to 0, 0. Is this clear? This is the trivial and very desirable operation for any pre-processing or while training of neural networks. Okay. The next thing is, see, in this direction, if you see, this spread is in x direction, if you see x1 direction, okay, and spread is less. This may be, say, 2 units. The spread here may be 5 units. Okay, spread in x1 and x2 directions are not same. In some cases, if the difference is too high, say if this is 20 and this is 50, for example, okay, difference is too high. In such case, the one of the feature will influence much more than the other feature, which is not desirable. So in such cases, what people do, they try to make the all variances. See, if you see the covariance matrix of this data, essentially covariance matrix of the data is the one which will give the characteristics of this spread of data across different directions. Sigma 1 1, okay, sigma 1 2, sigma 2 1, sigma 2 2 square. Okay, this is how the covariance matrix. So here in this case, this is sigma 1 1 square. Okay, and this is sigma 2 2 square. Okay, and then sigma 1 2, anyway, you can see that it is positive. Okay, something like that. So now what we can see, sigma 2 2 equals 2 1 equal to sigma 1 2. Okay, and in this case, what you want to do? In this case, sigma 1 1 is equal to sigma 2. We just want to normalize it. Okay, and then this we want to show it like this. This is normalizing the covariance matrix. What we can do is we can also do diagonalization of covariance matrix. That's we can decorrelate the data and then normalize. That's one way. Or directly normalize the covariance matrix such that sigma 1 1 equal to sigma 2 2. In this case, now what happens? The spread along x and y directions are same. This is one way of normalizing the data. That means every direction we divide by corresponding standard deviation or variance. So we calculate along with mean vector. We can also calculate a variance vector. Okay, variance across each direction. Okay, so if you consider variance vectors, okay, so it's nothing but, as you know, x minus mu whole square, right? So element wise we will calculate that. And variance is also say d cross 1 vector. Okay, then what we do? So this xk hat, double hat if I write is equal to xk hat. Okay, dot by, this dot by, please make a note. Okay, by variance. Okay, so our standard deviation, since we usually normalize with standard deviation, by standard deviation, right? So this is how we can do normalization of data. This is also one of the desirable processing step for the input of the data while present into the networks. Okay, so if we don't do it, the implication is having a not smooth update. See, if we don't have smooth update, what is an issue? What is the issue if we don't have smooth update? It's okay, well, let us have zigzag update. What's the problem? Quick answers are welcome.
We might not reach the global minimum.
Okay, we may still reach the global minima because we are trying to reach it somehow, right? We are reaching the point. Final point is same, but what's the limitation?
We have to do more training.
Yeah, much more iterations we have to go. Okay, the number of epochs needed. See, if this needs directly, say, just I think 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, 5 epochs. This may need actually 15 epochs. Okay, we are going in a quite zigzag path, right? And during this time, what happens? There are many samples you may diverge also. Each sample won't give in exactly same way, right? So there is a possibility for more divergence as well, right? So we need to have a smooth progress towards the global minima or the minima. So in such case, having the provision to update in all the weight space is required, and that is possible if we normalize, center the data. Okay, normalizing data, as I said, is desirable whenever we have the feature values between different features are quite high. Okay, so the other step that usually done in pre-processing is to decorrelate the data. What do we mean by decorrelating the data? Previously, we have seen that the covariance matrix is sigma 1 square, sigma 1 2, sigma 2 1, and sigma 2 2. Okay, so whole square. So this decorrelated means what? Decorrelated covariance matrix looks like what? Sigma 1 square. It's anyway modified sigma 1 square. What's the effect of decorrelation?
The other terms is 0.
Right. Okay. There is what we do is we put it along the the correlation between x and y is nullified. That means you can independently define the samples either through x-axis or the one of the feature values, right? And further processing is whitening the data. What do we mean by whitening data is decorrelate and normalize in some sense. That's equivalent to decorrelating and normalizing. So this usually is done through taking the advantage of eigenvalues. In fact, decorrelation is also done through taking the advantage of eigenvalues and eigenvectors. And this also further taken care. This is only by eigenvectors. This is by taking the advantage of or taking the information of eigenvalues and eigenvectors together. Okay, eigenvalues essentially will give spread along that direction. Okay, and eigenvector will give along which direction the spreads are more or less. So this is the eigenvector. Okay, first eigenvector, as you might have seen in PCA. Second eigenvector, this is the lambda 1, this is proportional to lambda 1, and this is proportional to lambda 2. Okay, this is proportional to lambda 1 and lambda 2. Hope this information you still remember. Okay, and that is used here to decorrelate and whiten the data. Of course, this is not, do you think this is a desirable operation all the time? Do you think all the time we would like to do whitening of the data and give it to the network for training? Yeah, what do you think I am asking? What is the answer I am not asking?
It might help, sir.
Okay. Okay, any other answers? Why do you think it helps?
Because we can reduce the number of features and
Okay, so X1 feature is exactly identical to X2 feature. Then why unnecessarily having X2 feature?
yes, sir. So we can remove that feature completely, right?
Okay, so right, for dimensionality reduction, it may be useful. In such case, even you did not do whitening, you can just do decorrelation and then take only one feature. No need to take right both. So decorrelate and then take only one of them. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in general, any other answer? This is fine, especially for dimensional reduction. That's what you have said is correct. Especially we take decorrelated data, take only the dominant directions. Okay, but in general, it is not preferred. The reason being, see, if say based on the one feature may be more important or more spread, that information we want to see. The relation between features also we want to see. Okay, based on that, we want to see to which class they belongs to. One data is spread like this. Okay, assume that there is other data, other class data that is spread like this. One class data is spread like this, other class data is spread like this. Okay, if I whiten what will happen? Both will become circles like this. Okay, it's very difficult to distinguish between class 1, okay, data and class 2 data. Okay, if we don't do whitening, it is useful. So usually what people do is zero centering all the while we do. Okay, normalization, it's up to us. Okay, should we do or not? Okay, decorrelating data only for dimensionality reduction. If you would like to do a dimensionality reduction, we do this. Okay, and whitening mostly we don't do. Okay, unless we have a very specific interest on whitening the data, where we assume that there is a lot of like noise, or the other things are not important. Okay, so each is measured with different instrument, and they may not be very important kind of information. Then we can do. In such case, we may try to do normalization. Yeah. So in practice, how we do this demeaning in images is through creating a mean image and subtract the mean image. That's one way. Or for each channel, we find out the mean value and subtract the mean value from the channel. Okay. So if we have actually a CFAR data, as you know, has 32 cross 32 cross 33 images. So there are, assume that in say 60,000 images anyway. Assume that there are 60 some 10,000 images here. Okay, so for all 10,000 images, what we do is we first find out the mean image. Okay, and then subtract the mean image from the images. So that's how we do the one kind of demeaning for all 1,000 images. Second kind of is per each image. This is done for the whole data. Demeaning based for data. This is demeaning per image. Okay, per each image what we have, we take the mean of all say mean of the channel. Okay, is equal to one value, right? M1 for first channel. Channel 1 M1. Okay, and then what we do, channel 1 input is modified as channel 1 minus M1. Okay, this is a scalar and this is a matrix. This is 32 cross 32. Okay, cross 1, because we are considering only one channel. This is 1 cross 1. Okay, so anyway, you can scale this also of this dimension, and then you can reshape our tile to this dimension and then do subtraction. Okay, and this is how we usually do demeaning on images. Hope this is clear. Okay, the next aspect is on how do we initialize the weights. Okay, so weight initialization also plays a very important role. And there are some, we have discussed a few aspects of it, but there are some other important aspects to be considered. And then we will discuss on the training of neural networks. With, say, especially at the beginning, what should be the loss, or what are the checkpoints while training of the neural networks. So we will see first with the feed-forward neural network, and then we go for the convolutional neural network. Even there is a step called batch normalization. That is also important when we do, especially with the mini batch, or not just giving one sample for training, giving a batch of samples for training. And that also helps us in better regularization and learning better. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, if possible, I will try to send a recorded video lecture, one more recorded video lecture, since we have lost a couple of minutes in both classes. So if you have any other questions, you can ask now on whatever we have discussed. Okay. Thank you then. Bye.